I think we're ready. We're ready. Let's see. Let's bring the absolutely amazing, beautiful, and always eloquent Adriana to the stage. Let's get this started. Hope everybody enjoyed the reunion show. We're going to get going, man. This is going to be a very good live with an amazing woman. And we got a lot to say, man. We've been under a gag order for the last, the last 6 months. So, hat game is always, I appreciate it, man. For the last 6 months, man. And it's difficult to kind of keep all this stuff in and see things and maybe feel like you were misrepresented on camera. But no. We all know that everybody's doing different lives. Don't be sad. Don't be sad. We're going to talk about the Joy situation for sure. Much love there. And we're going to make it do what it do. So I hope y'all really enjoyed it. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's good that it's over. Now I can talk. And, me and Joy are still really good friends, but there's a lot to be said for sure. Absolutely. Adriana, where are you, hon? Let's see here. I'll go ahead and grab a couple of quick, let me see here. Hold on a second. I'll go ahead and grab couple of quick questions and we'll jump off with that. Hold on. Sorry, y'all, we're having technical difficulties. Feeling like Teddy Riley up in here. Hold on just a second. All right, so are we going to post a lot? Absolutely. Tyrese lookalike. That's my guy, man. That's my guy. Hold on a second. She said, go get my girl. Everybody's doing a live tonight. We really had to be quiet this whole time. We're under contract with the studio. And at the end of the day, they have their production. And the last thing we want to do is interrupt something that they're doing. So we really had to kind of keep a lot of stuff on their wraps. And even spending time with somebody that you might want to spend time with just because the show is on and you don't want to disrespect the process. So let's see here real quick. Man, y'all got a lot of questions. Do me a favor. Instead of putting the questions in the chat, do me a favor and put them on the question side. And then that way we can get to everybody's questions. She said, spill all the secrets. Yo, we're here for that. We are here for that. We are here for that. And then after Adriana, I'm actually going to jump on and do a live with Khalfani as well. Let's see here. Let me view this request real quick. I can't do that, man. Hey, I would love to take your request out. However, I have got to get on with Adriana. And let's see where we are with this. I don't know why it's not coming through. Because she is ready. And she gave the biz today. She was not playing any games when it came down to having a conversation with Denise. There's a little bit of similarities with the conversation that she had with Denise, and then also the one that Joy actually had with Simone last time. I felt like they both were like, you know what, I've been nice enough. Now we're going to get to business. So we'll see real quick. Hold on a second. Adriana coming through. I'm going to go and grab a couple questions while Adriana's coming through. I think she was in the middle of something and she's finishing up. Oh, there she goes.
Hey.
Building.
Oh, woo. I got my wine after this one.
Right now. Oh, you got the wine?
My wine. It's too much.
And everything. I'm with you. Stay hydrated. Look, you look amazing as always.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so excited that we get a chance to do this and we actually get a chance to say what we want to say. Right. This, y'all, has been a journey. And both of us are really the type of individuals that like to speak our mind and say exactly what it is. I'm not going to BS you. I always say I'm from Texas and I shoot straight from both hips. So we're going to get in, let's get into it, man. So I'm going to start with you if that's all right.
Huh? No. Don't put the fire on me first. I'm coming for you first. I got it.
A little bit of softball questions, but I left before y'all left. So I'm just now seeing a lot of this stuff like the viewers are.
Right. No. And I still tell people all the time too, even us watching it in general, like I know what's going to happen in the end. Yeah. But watching it, it's like a whole different animal because it's like, man, they did say that. Or sometimes you don't know what somebody said in a confessional. You don't know what somebody said. It's a lot of different scenarios. Why is my phone going to sleep?
No, you're good. All right. So we'll start with Rashid. And we're gonna take a journey through this.
Okay, let's go through the process together. Let's do it.
Because last week I was on the hot seat, baby. I was on the hot seat. So this week we got a chance to see you and Rashid's interaction and kind of y'all's whole process, which is beautiful though. Like from the first moment y'all was like, "That's my boo." He's like, "That's my girl. We get married. We're gonna have 10 kids. We're gonna have a basketball team." Like that was what was it about Rashid? You know, my dude's a good looking dude. He tall, slim, got the ball.
Right.
Like brothers, you know. So
ain't nothing wrong with the little, you know what I'm saying? No, it was like literally, it was genuine excitement when I saw him there. You know, it was just not just because it was like a familiar face, but it's like, oh, like, and I think I even said it in like the confessional. It was like, oh, like this is like a second go round, you know, because we had like unfinished business in a sense. And so it was like, okay, you know, I see him like, okay, well, we get to see what each other's really working with. And being on the resort, there's no distractions. There's nothing, you know, going on. And we don't have to worry about work or any other things. We happen next, you know?
Okay. What were those initial things in y'all's conversation that made it be like, that's my man? I remember exactly. He was like, Rashid, that's my man. So y'all
right.
All right,
no, one thing, because for me, like in other relationships that I've been in, the man wanted to be a man in the sense of they wanted me to stay in my place, you know, just be a woman, just be to the side, stand there, look cute. And I like to work. I like to handle my business and do my thing. And that was a conversation that we had literally at the meet and greet. And whenever we talked, he's like, no, like I will support you, you know, in all that you do. And even we could figure out how to bounce ideas off of each other. And that was something that for me was so important because I had never had that before. Right. You know what I'm saying? And just, I love that we could both be entrepreneurs and help each other, you know what I'm saying? Elevate each other through the process, because I want it to be like a group, a partnership, you know, type of dynamic. And we was like finishing each other's sentences whenever we were talking about what we were looking for in somebody. So it's just like, hey, this is it. You know, I get my tall basketball kids. We good.
Right. Y'all just 5-year-olds just dunking on my kids.
Hey,
you know?
Hey, and now I'm there. I want somebody to say something.
Right. Say something. At what point did that change? And then, because what I want people to realize is that this is a dating show. Right. And it's about dating multiple people to find the best interaction and the best connection, right? And so you're continuously, even though you're vibing with Rashid, you're still in the process. And we're also reminded that this is a process and to stay committed to the process of finding the best connection.
Right.
So what point in y'all's connection did you say, wait a second, let me finish out this process and not kind of do what Chris did? Chris, right, is where I'm at, I'm sticking.
So for me, the problem came later on, closer to the end. I first noticed the switch whenever Alex got sent home. Okay. Because, you know, prior to that, he had a connection with Simone. Then Simone got sent home. Then he had a connection with Alex. Alex got sent home. And then it was like, okay, so now it's only me left. So he's like, hey, what's up? Like, you need to make your decision. It need to be now. And I even told him that, I don't think they showed it, but I even told him, like, you can't come and back me into a corner and be like, you know, you got to make your decision right now just because your other options are gone. That's not fair, you know? And like you said, we're here to find that connection and see who we're vibing with the most, you know? It's not a thing of who likes you, you know? Everybody had multiple people that liked them. Right. So it's not like, oh, you like me first, so I'm going to stick with you. Like, it wasn't that, you know? And so at this point, it was like he really he didn't have any other distractions, so he really noticed the connection that me and Khalfani had. Okay. And like I said, for me, and I feel like all the women vocalized this at some point, we all wanted somebody to fight for us, you know, because that was the environment that we were in. This isn't normal life. You know what I'm saying? We're on this resort.
Put a pin in that. What was that about? Because I heard that from, you know, my second connection, which was Winter, that wanted me to fight for her. And I saw her say that same thing with Anthony. And she's an amazing woman. Right. And so there's certain things about this environment that will yield people to be different than they would in the home environment. So what was that? Since there was an equal amount of guys and girls this season, where did that come from?
So I can say for me personally, it was a thing, because you heard him say, and I mean, both of us say the courting and chasing, the difference in it, you know? And it's like, of course, if we were out in the world, you know, no, you don't chase anybody, you know, whatever, you know, if they're not reciprocating that same energy, then it's like, oh, okay, you know, whatever. And you take it for what it is.
Right.
But in this case, we're on the resort. So he's seeing things that he wouldn't see in real life. You know what I'm saying? He's seeing, like all of us, we saw our connection. So he let that get in his head and he literally just backed off. Like, yeah, he kept me as his number one because he didn't have any other options. But he just backed up. Whereas Khalfani saw that Rashid had me as his number one, and he was like, "No, like I see what I want, and I'm gonna go for it, and I don't care like whatever."
Khalfani's like 6'2" and 300 pounds, and got every muscle and then sub muscle known to man. So maybe there was a weight class difference where he's like,
it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter because Denise was feeling Khalfani, and you see, I was like, it's whatever. So you know what I'm saying? If you want it, go for it. And so that was, to me, like, as a man, like, yeah, he kept me as his number one. Cool. Like, he did that. But just because he did that, what were the actions behind it? Like, Khalfani would come and check on me every morning, you know, and like, hey, did you get breakfast? Because, you know, sometimes we wouldn't have time to go get breakfast because the girls, you know, we trying to get all dolled up because we didn't know when we go back to our room. So Khalfani come make sure I got breakfast. You need anything? Okay, cool. Then he'll go, you know, run off. Or after Joy's sister passed, he came to my room, made sure I was okay. Like, you know, we talked about Bible scriptures and like talked the whole night. And it's just like, and she was just like, oh, well, I thought you just wanted to be by yourself. So I left you by yourself. Which I don't think he meant anything by it. But for me, what I need in the type of support system that I need somebody that's more action oriented than the words.
So it sounds like Khalfani kind of, at the end at least, had more of an aggressive, hey, I'm here, I'm here, and kind of being proactive about, you know, taking care of your needs versus maybe Rashid was used to being in a position of, all right, we cool, you'll let me if you need something.
Right, exactly. And it's not that either one of them was the right way or the wrong way. It's like what would work for me. And I've been in situations where they said all the right things, but they didn't, the actions weren't there. So for me to have, in that setting, having someone that was putting the actions behind it, I was like, okay, well, that's what I want. Because that's the type of person I am. I don't really talk too much. I more so just, you could tell by my actions how I move, you know, and that's how I do. So to see somebody that I feel like reciprocated the same energy, I was there for that.
I can feel that. And I was there. And so we had these conversations like, you know, you're like, Jay, I'm torn, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, man, go with your heart. You know what I mean? Go with your heart, whatever feels real. And I saw both of the connections. And I, as a guy, you know, I can't tell the difference in between what you're feeling. But I saw a little bit of what you're talking about the intentionality in between the two guys.
Right, right.
I'm going to flip it real quick, though. Going with Khalfani, as we got near the end, we saw this date between him and your dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, big ups to your dad, though. Beast. Sir, what? Right? And as a guy, if I ever had to go talk to a girl's dad, and he's a pastor and a therapist,
oh no, it was intense. And they only got to see like maybe like 3 questions. Like he was coming back to back with all of them. Like it was no pause in between. Like, oh, okay, you said that? Okay, well what about this then? Like it's everything. But it was so great. Like it made me nervous a little bit because I was like, they about to walk off and just say I'm done. Like I don't even wanna go, you know, anymore. But specifically like Khalfani, he my dad even said he saw a lot of his characteristics in Khalfani. He could see the things that I liked about him. And I was like, exactly, you know, because, you know, a lot of times just as women, we go for some qualities that our fathers have, you know, some of the things that we saw. And so that's what I did.
And that's a compliment to Khalfani from your dad, because if a woman's dad ever said, man, he reminds me of me, that's amazing. That's a huge compliment.
Right.
Shout out to Missouri City dudes. I'm just saying. So I know you didn't want me to put you in the hot seat all day. So I'm going to give you a break from the hot seat. And I'm going to you said you got some. You got some.
I'll flip it on you.
Go ahead.
You know, I've been talking to my girl Winter the last like 2 weeks.
Winter's. Let me say this up front. I have so much respect for Winter. She is such an amazing woman. She's dope. Like even you heard Joy when we were on a reunion. She was like, you would say that Winter's dope. You would say how amazing she is and all the above. So shout out to Winter, man. I know she just had her birthday. So she didn't quite make the Capricorn season, but it's okay. She cool as all, you know.
Right. So at what point?
I'm ready.
At what point did you? Well, let me take it all the way back before we go on Winter. You and Simone's connection, because everybody's saying you a player right now because you had all 3 of them. Okay, you had all 3 of them saying you know you were in all 3 of their tops at one point even too.
Right. Okay.
So as far as, we'll go one at a time, as far as with Simone, what was that connection like, and when did you realize that that wasn't the connection you wanted?
Great question, man. I think you should do this for a living. Real estate, interviewer. So with Simone, literally as I walked up, I saw Simone first over everybody else at the mixer. And I was like, yo, she's dope. Like, physically, it was just kind of like, man, I like the look. Our first interaction was when I was sitting down with Winter, and me and Winter were having this great conversation about legacy and worship and all this stuff, whatever case is. And then she comes and gets me and says, hey, you have an emergency call inside. Long story short, it was just to kind of get me over there and have a conversation, which was great. And then once we kind of, the first week, I would probably say the first 4 days, I just realized that it wasn't a good connection. Like, just because something physically is what you like, it's not necessarily what's for you. And what I'm looking for at this point in life is what's for me. I want that emotional connection. I want that friendship. And I didn't see it. No diss against, Simone. I just didn't see it. And I saw it very early that it wasn't there. And
I noticed that even being there, like at first I would see y'all, well, and honestly it wasn't that many times that I saw y'all together, but I would see y'all together, then all of a sudden, like, it wasn't there anymore. And so
when they asked me about Simone, and I was like, yo, she cool, but I'm gonna keep it pushing. Like, I at that point had made a strong decision, like, this isn't it. I don't see the qualities of us having this connection, because I feel like everybody has to be equally yoked as far as in the way that they communicate and the way that maybe they see life. And I have kids, and I didn't see those things that I want to bring home. And everybody isn't for everybody. I'm not for everybody. And it doesn't mean that she's not a good person. It just wasn't the fit that I was looking for. So to cut it short, that first week, it was like, yeah, no, that ain't it. And then, and from the beginning, it was Joy, it was Winter, and it was Simone. Right. So when Simone was gone, it was like, okay, well, let's just Joy and Winter. And so for the time, I was consistent on it was Joy and Winter.
Sticking with those two.
Yeah, and anytime somebody asked me, Joy's my number one and Winter's my number two. And I don't even like talking about women in number one and number two.
Right. Right. It was just a setting, so it kind of sucked because I know in real life, neither one of us would ever do that. Like, because I think I call Khalfani my side piece at the front. At the beginning, it's like, no disrespect. Like, I would, say that in real life. But
I mean, shoot, every chicken got to come with a biscuit. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay, so and then when it came to Winter, and if you want to touch on the infamous cheek kiss that had everybody, in an uproar, how was that?
So, if you walk across the street right now, there's going to be 10 people that see you walk across the street. 5 of them are going to say that you did it wrong. 5 of them are going to say that you did it right. What's more important for me is to walk across the street in the way in which I would walk across the street, and with integrity. I say that to say that if I would have kissed Winter, I would have been wrong, right? Because I just kissed Joy. And I'm just the type of guy that I'm not about to be kissing and putting my mouth on a bunch of women. Me and Joy had a great date, and that led to a moment, and it went there, and it flowed naturally. Even though I have a huge amount of respect and I enjoyed my time with Winter. We had a great date and finding the stars and all the above. It just that moment wasn't there. And I just not the type of dude to kiss 2 women in 24 hours. It's just never going to happen in real life. And it wasn't about to happen there. So the cheek was the only option for me. And that's what I went with. And I feel bad that it hurt her feelings. Yeah. For sure.
Like, I think you could definitely tell that, that she took it. And I know it wasn't meant that way.
It wasn't. And so what do you do in that moment? Do you give the person? Now, what I did do wrong, and I'll give you what you want. That
you did say that. It's like, wait, no, you pressed it for bad. Like,
I made it way worse.
You did.
I have no excuse for that. But it wasn't it's something that if I had to do anything over in the entire show, it'd have probably been that.
We all say stupid stuff in certain scenarios and in certain instances. It's just, in this instance, there's cameras all over. So anything you say, right, wrong, bad timing, right timing, is all documented.
And in real life, I'm a big jokester. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was like Joy would say, that's a no.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. And then, so as far as you and Joy, what's y'all's current status after y'all, or you could walk me through after y'all left the show?
So we left the show, you know, her sister passed. And you know, at that moment for me, and Joy may see it differently, and I respect that. At that moment for me, it went from this in heading towards relationship and, you know, all that stuff to it being on a different cliff. And wait a second, we're changing gears. I need to be here for this, for the friend that this got. You got to realize at this point, we had known each other for what, 2.5, maybe 3 weeks.
Right.
And then she has the biggest loss of her life. And so for me, I'm just that type of person where if you're around me and you're going through something, I come from a loving family. So we're just going to pour our arms around you.
Give
we're
all the support.
And at that moment, yes, there was a possible relationship out here. But what was most important is for me to show up for my friend. And it went from romance mode to support mode, whatever she needs.
Right. And I think that's good, because it's so unfortunate because of what happened with her sister passing. It kind of it does put her in a vulnerable position.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, for you, I could feel it being a thing of, what do I do at this point? You know, do we continue on this accelerated path and act like, you know, whatever, or do we step back and take our time and make sure the emotions are still the same and we're thinking with our right head and not with our heart necessarily?
And there's something called a hero complex, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where if I'm there for her, then we have this relationship that may not have blossomed just because I was there for her at this time, you know, that she needed somebody to be there for her. Joy has a great support system of amazing friends. I've met some of them, and I just wanted to be another part of that. Any therapist that you talk to, or psychologist that you talk to, will tell you that in a time of loss, the last thing you need to be doing is making major life decisions or starting something new, or don't end anything abrupt, you know. And so I just really went into support mode, and she's still dealing with that. And I pray for her daily. I don't think I will ever forget hearing her cry that way. You heard it, and it's just, I mean, you saw, I mean, my interviews, my eyes were red because I was crying like a baby, man. I'm not that kind of guy, but it just, you know, here you are, you've developed this relationship, this person, this friendship, and then you see them go through this loss. And so it messed me up. It messed me up for a whole day. Right.
But y'all still talk now, right?
We're cool. Like, yeah. You know, we are cool. You know, Houston isn't that big anyway. It's huge, but
Houston is so small.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I appreciate you asking that. But yeah, that was hard for everybody on the show. Absolutely hard for everybody on the show.
No, it definitely was. And she was such a light, and is such a light joy, like to everyone there. So to see her going through that pain, I think
her parents knew.
I know all of us. Like, it was, I don't even have the words to describe it. It was just unreal.
Her parents knew they chose the right name for Joy. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, yeah, they hit that on the nail on the head. I don't know if there was some, you know.
They knew. They could feel it.
They knew. Yeah. She just got fun of Joy. So yeah. All right. So am I out of hot seat? Can I get?
Yeah, out of hot seat. I just had to touch it. I had to represent for the girls, so I had to ask the girls questions. Okay.
I'm here for it. So we're gonna slide back into Denise.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it out there. Y'all calling out hoods, you know, Beaumont, you know, Acres Shakers. Like, that was, I wasn't ready for it. You are always, both of y'all are all, I'll say from your perspective, since I'm on the call with you.
Don't say both of us, because I don't really know any more sentences that can end with both of us.
And like, you kind of allowed her to kind of be the way she wanted to be in certain situations, and then you respond. In what was it about this moment where you was like, all right, I got time today?
For me, honestly, so while we were filming, minus if the people notice or whatever, after the narcissist comment episode or whatever, I don't even say her name anymore because I don't want to be. Okay. We unfiltered tonight, right?
Look.
So after the narcissist comment, she wasn't a factor to me anymore. She didn't matter to me anymore. So I never said her name anymore because I didn't care. I wasn't there to make friends. I was there to find a connection and find out who I wanted to talk to. So that's how I moved. Even when it came to me pursuing Khalfani, I didn't care because I knew who I wanted and who I wanted to pursue. So that's what I did. So I kept moving as if she didn't exist because she didn't to me. So once we came back home, for me, you know, we were all, I felt like we all say, all of us in all of our interviews and with everything, we all kind of built a bond in a sense. So we tried not to necessarily bash each other or say anything bad, you know, and just kind of go with the flow and emotions of everything. And so once we get back home, I saw her at the premiere party. And I came up to her and I was like, hey, we good, right? Like, everything's cool. We left it at the show, you know? And she was like, yeah, everything's cool. Huh? Then all of a sudden the episodes start airing. And then I see, oh, like literally every episode, it's like, I need to stay in my place, or you gonna get shitted on, or it's like, you know, you a cheap floozy, or it's like, why are you talking about me so much? Why is my name in your mouth? I never say, and even still, I don't say anything. I keep it chill. I don't say nothing. Even on Instagram, like I post applies, you know, I'm happy, leave me alone, because that's how I felt. Like, just leave me alone, like chill. Right. And then even still, my somebody sent me the screenshot on Facebook of her talking about once they showed the episode of the narcissist comment. And she was talking about, you know, oh, I had to put Adriana in her place. She came for me and da da da. And I'm like, bro, like chill. You know what I'm saying? So once the time came and we shot the reunion, I was like, if I didn't come in with the intent on, oh, I'm about to give her a piece of my mind or whatever. It was like, but if she does come, I will meet her energy. And that's what I felt like I did. And so in that moment, that's what was going through my head, because they didn't show what exactly she said, because they were talking about Rashid and the narcissist thing. I think maybe Tommy asked like about her apologizing on my behalf or something to that effect that brought me into it. And then in turn, I was like, when have I ever disrespected you? Because I was like, I never once did, but yet here we are. And you literally have my name in your mouth every week for absolutely no reason. And once we're back home, if you're supposed to be an adult and I'm a kid or whatever, act like an adult and not still talk about me once we're home. So it's like I had all these built up emotions because I'm trying to be the bigger person and try to be happy and try to, you know, just keep it pushing. It's cool. It's not a big deal. But like I said, it's a certain point where it's a difference between standing up for yourself and being a bigger person. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a fine line, you know? And so I felt like I took the bigger person route, but then
on tonight's episode, it was about that. You wanted all of the smoke. You got it all, right? For real.
I'm just, you know, I'm not that person. Like, you know, I chill, I'm on my business, whatever. But it was just like seeing that every week, I feel like anybody would be like, bro, what's up? Like, what's good? Yeah. You know? But yeah, so that's where that came from. Yeah.
I wasn't ready. I was sitting there and I was with, so Joy had always kind of taken the higher ground with some, and you had always taken what I thought was the higher ground with Denise. I was there, and you know, and I would talk to both of y'all, and I'm like, you know, and it was always that kind of tension once you kind of step into the picture. And you know, of course, you saw the scene where I actually talked to her about just, you know, chill out, let Khalfani make his decisions, so forth, so on, which I actually think made room for you to enter the picture, to be honest with you, because he was chilling with Denise, and then it was him being.
No, he would have still made the same decision, because at the end of the day, she was still going to be her and show her true colors. So regardless of if you would have said something or if anybody would have said something, like I said, I ran my situation and did my thing on the show the way that I would have did in real life. I only worried about me and gave me. And so at the end of the day, whatever decision he would have made. But she dug her own hole, and I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, and that's what I really feel like happened. I had a conversation with her about, hey, just chill out, let him, you know, a man wants to breathe, and I think that you did that well. And it's something that she can improve on. And I think she'll probably take that hopefully from, because we all have our takeaways from this, right? I watch myself back and I'm like, ooh, I could have done that better. Ooh, I could have, you know, done that a little bit differently, whatever cases. So we have about 14 minutes left. I want to get to a couple of these questions real quick. And so there's a lot of people asking, I'm still with Joy. She said, somebody said Beaumont is riding on Acres Homes. Someone else asked how many Bantu of London, who does amazing jewelry, asked how many dates were we on that they didn't show. I'll let you.
I don't even. Yeah, it's so many, and even if they did get to see the dates, like all the dates lasted at least like an hour and a half, 2 hours plus. Yeah. And so they get to see maybe 2 questions or 2 interactions from the date for 10 minutes, and then that's it. So it's That's what I think all of us say too in all of our interviews and in everything. You know,
who you go on dates with?
For the most part, I strictly only went on dates with Khalfani and Rashid. Me and Brian had a couple of conversations that weren't necessarily dates, but like just sitting on the couch and chopping it up. But I mean, for the whole time, those were my only two people that I really.
To answer the question, somebody says, "Do we ever go on a date?" No. Look, Adriana is the homie. Always been the homie. There's always there. Not that type of love or lust. I went on a date with Naya. We did a dope hood checkers date, and then I went on a date with Alex, and we had a great time. But let's see.
Wait, there's something I want to touch on. What before we run out of time?
Come on.
For me, just to say my 2 cents, as far as at the end where I wasn't listening to Rashid whenever he was talking.
I want to ask. Let me start that, because that was the question that I have for you, because I was there. Mm-hmm. Of course, Rashid's talking, but Rashid said something to the fact of it had to do with all of a sudden he didn't see you being as mature, and I'm paraphrasing, but I took that you weren't as mature as he wanted. But I never heard that from Rashid throughout the whole process, nor did I hear it prior to you choosing Khalfani. Exactly. So that kind of segued into you and Khalfani having a conversation. So I want to cover two things. What do you feel about that part of the conversation, and where did that come from? Because there's all these other conversations that maybe weren't on TV. And so did that come from a conversation that y'all had?
So yes. So like once we got back, we didn't talk for a while. I was kind of just letting him breathe, and I think, you know, both of us, like, we just didn't really talk. And then finally, once we hung out, you know, once we got back to Houston, he had his birthday, and like I surprised him with a birthday cake, and, you know, he had his birthday party.
Whoa, you pulled up and surprised with the birthday cake?
Because it's all love, you know, like, just because I didn't pick you in the end, it doesn't mean it's anything bad.
My birthday like 4 days ago.
What? Corona. That's what happened.
Wait, no, wait. You know I got a sweet tooth. Oh wait, strawberry.
But yeah, so it's like we had, you know, interaction. You know, we would pretty much talk everywhere. Like I would hop on some of his lives and stuff. Yeah. So we had a cool connection. Now, what happens is probably like 2 days or even the night before, I think, the reunion. You know, they sent us a little clip so we could see, you know, some scenes or whatever that we potentially hadn't seen. And I called him and I was just like, hey, like, I'm really worried because I feel like I may come across as like this immature, you know, because I'm the youngest one. I may come across immature or young or whatever. And I'm just scared about that, you know. And, you know, he talked to me off the cliff, you know, like, it's cool. Everything will be okay. I'm sure people will see how great you are, blah, 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 blah. Everything's great. Great conversation. Then we come to the reunion and Tommy asks him, why don't we work? And then he says the immature thing. And he says, oh, you know, and there's a 10-year gap between us. So I just feel like she has some more growing up to do, or however he said it, whatever. Right. And to me, I took that as a blow. Like, I took that as like a what? Like, I literally just told you this. And then you're going to take it and throw it back in my face? When this whole time you tried to talk to me in real life, you knew that there was a 10-year gap before the show. You knew that there was a 10-year gap on the show. Right. And you still pursued me all the way to the end. But now that I didn't choose you, it's a 10-year gap and I needed, I was immature or whatever, however he said it. Right. Like, to me, that was just a blow. And so at that point, my ears clicked off and I didn't want to hear it anymore. So, because like, you're not, to me, being real. And maybe that was his truth in his moment or his way of rationalizing, you know, his feelings or whatever. But either way, it's like I said, we all have this thing for each other where we try not to down each other. And to me, I took that as a slug, because it's like, I already talked to you and told you this was an insecurity that I had with everything on the show. And then you backdoor and throw it back in my face. Like, oh, okay, cool. Well, then I'm good. Don't worry about it.
And there's a lot of people on the chat saying, you know, he didn't say you're immature. Those weren't the exact words. Right.
It wasn't the exact words. He said it was like a 10-year gap and something like that. But that's also something that they didn't get to see. So it's something that y'all didn't get to see before he said what he did say on there or whatever.
And being there, and we were all there, I kind of saw what you're talking about as far as it. I had never, you know, Rashid is my guy. You know, we literally, our rooms right next door to each other. You know, I support him in business. We have similar clients, so forth, so on, whatever. That's my guy. So there is no beef between any of us. We're talking about this particular moment at that particular time, and And in that moment, that remark kind of came from, that's the first time I had heard something like that.
Y'all were, and like I said, exactly, and that's how I felt. Like I'm not trying to down him or say, you know, stages. What's he say? The phone went out. Stages. Right, exactly. Yeah, the ages and stages. But it was still, he said something even before that. He said literally the 10-year thing, that there was a 10-year difference and he had been married and, you know, anyway, the whole thing, even whatever. But just like I said, for me, whatever it was that was said, that was never an issue on the show. That wasn't an issue before the show when we went on a date. So why bring it up now?
Yo, somebody, you finished that wine fast though. Like you knocked that.
I told you, my nerves is bad, man. I mean, after the reunion, that next day, when I tell you, like, I didn't want to talk to nobody because my emotions was like this. It was from the Denise thing had me feeling away. Then Rashid having comments made me feel away, and then the ending with Khalfani obviously had me feeling away. So I was just like, man.
So let me ask you that, and it's not to put you in extended hot seat, but I really want to, because I was behind you, and you and Khalfani were having a conversation. Unfortunately, while Rashid was talking.
Right. That was still, I will say that I shouldn't have did that. But like I said, for me, my ears clicked off. But that wasn't the right way to act.
Let me ask you this, and then I'll follow up with that. How would you do that differently?
It's still hard. It wasn't the right thing to do, but would I say that I potentially would have did the same thing?
Yeah.
Potentially. Just because we had that conversation literally like the night before. And so it instantly put me in my feelings because, like I said, it felt like he was throwing it in my face after we had literally just had the conversation. I'm not saying it was right, and it's wrong. It is wrong for me to act that way, and I should have listened to him, sure. But I didn't want to, and I still didn't. I talked to him later. Like, I think we talked probably like last week, and I told him, because I hadn't talked to him since. And I told him that I felt away in this, and he was like, that wasn't my intent. And he was like, I could see how you feel that way because of the conversation we had. Right. But that wasn't my intent. And I was like, I accept that. And I was like, I'm sorry if I did anything, you know, to you to even feel that way, you know. And we had a cool moment. But
I will say though that being behind you guys and you and Khalfani having this conversation, there was a lot of things that were left to be communicated between the two of you guys. And I'm not saying you're right for having it that way, but just hearing a little bit of what you guys, it was intense. What was that conversation?
So because that was his first time. So when he first initially gave me the news about the ex-girlfriend coming in the picture, you know how I am, like, I didn't really say too much, because if I would have said anything in that moment, it wouldn't have been positive. It wouldn't have been good. So I kind of just like, all right, cool. You know, I respect it, and I'm a you know, leave pretty much. Like we finished the dinner, but left. Right. And he was like, man, I just expected you to say more. I'm just like, but that's just not me, because I know in that moment, like, anything I'm saying is not going to be good. Right. It's not. So that was his first time hearing me say, like, I literally thought everything was fake. You know, like, I felt like it made me question everything, because it's like he was going so hard, you know, like during the show. Like I said, he was at my room every morning before he would go work out. He would come knock on my door, ask me if I ate. Like, you know, do you need anything? Hey, let's go talk over here. Let's go do this. Like, it was a whole thing. We had so many talks, and it was about just him being protective and protecting me. Right. And so the first day that we get back home, you come and tell me that somebody had a note on your door. It's just it was hard for me to process. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying, I don't know. I could understand his decision. And that's what I even said on the reunion, that, you know, understand, especially when there's kids involved, that's a whole different dynamic, you know. And when the ex has a relationship with the kids, I get it. Does that stop me from feeling the way I feel? Of course not. Yeah. And that's where that came from. And that's why I was like, I'm having a hard time understanding how you would even come on the show if you had a potential connection with somebody else that you would pick over me, you know? And so it was just a sense of hurt and a lot. And he just was reassuring me that that wasn't the case. Yeah. And so, like I said, that was the first time he was hearing that from me. And then
you muted just a little bit for some reason.
Sorry. Yeah, and that's me having my response. So, that's what that discussion was.
I know both of those brothers relatively well. You had two amazing guys to choose from, and to develop and figure out what was the best connection. And so I applaud you on the way that you know, went through the process, because what they show on TV is one thing, because there's however many hours that they have to edit down to fit into a certain time bracket. But this was hard. People don't realize how difficult this was, because never in life are you going to be dating someone while you're dating other people, and you're seeing them date other people as well.
In your face, right?
In your, yeah. And so
it was definitely a different dynamic for all of us, and I think people don't understand that they connected with how things would be in real life, or you know how they would move. It's like you honestly can't speak on how you would move until you were in that situation.
Absolutely. And the other part too is that people have to realize is that this was unique for us, and it was also unique for the show. This is because of quarantine and social distancing. Then we were in a bubble. And so it was just, it started off with the 20 of us and a few people in the crew that we interacted with. And then at the end of the day, people would get kind of edited out, right? And you don't know how you deal with in real life. So Khalfani had no idea how you respond with his kids. You have no idea how Khalfani will interact with your friends and
right. Or work, once you put your work into play.
Right. There's no work. There's no cell phones to call. There's no kids to interact with. There's no friends. And so when there's in the show, and then there's once you get home, and how does that translate over? And so I think that that's one of the things that all of us kind of had to think about and also deal with. And that's where these relationships broke down. They broke down once it got home with Anthony and Winter, you know, with Joy and with you and Khalfani. It's once it translated from there to this
real life, right?
Yeah, and at the end of it, it's I think we all found the people that we were most compatible with, and I think we probably made the right decisions. But then once life came in, then stuff like that changed up. So
right, for sure. Because I definitely emotionally, I had I kind of needed a detox once we got back home, because it was so much.
Yeah.
You don't spend that much time with like your family sometimes. Literally, it's all day. So every day.
All day. All day, every day. And it was, but I liked it because, you know, like you, I'm working a ton when I get home, and when I got back and when I'm normally here. So it allowed me to immerse myself in the process of, you know, trying to find the right one. So we've got a ton of questions. I'm gonna
let's try. I'm sorry, I had to get out my 2 cents before.
I appreciate it. That's what I'm here for. That's what everybody's here for. Somebody said, why didn't me and Joy work out? We covered that, but just to go over it real quickly, you know, it's different when somebody's dealing with a loss, and we have a great friendship, and I really want to support her that way. A relationship can always come down the road, and who knows what life will bring. I have an immense amount of respect for Joy, and I think she's an amazing woman. We've all got a chance to see that. And at this time, you know, I can't say what she's going through, but there's a grieving process. Somebody said, would you give Rashid a chance now?
No.
That wasn't for me. Okay, we'll just keep on right back. Do I regret doing this show? We'll both answer that. I don't regret doing the show. I am say yes to life and do different experiences. I would not do another show like this, but I enjoyed the process, and it made me open up, and it made me see some things for myself. It was a great mirror for me to watch some of my flaws on TV, so that way I can go back in and make myself a better person for whoever God has for me to be. What about you?
Ditto, everything you just said. Like it was definitely. I feel like you said, all of us kind of walked away learning something about ourselves, good and bad. And so, would I do another dating show? I don't think so. I mean, who knows what God's will is, but as of right now, I don't think so. Because it takes a special type of person to be able to be vulnerable with all the cameras around. That took a lot on all of us. But I don't regret it at all. Everything happens for a reason, and I think it's definitely a blessing.
Somebody said if I would have kissed Winter first, would I could then kiss Joy. That's one of those things where it didn't happen that way, so it's hard for me to myself back into part of the process. Right. Let's see here. Does Khalfani have a baby on the way? Not that I know of. And Khalfani would be. He's such an honest dude. He would be like, "Yo, I'm on the way."
He wouldn't do that.
Yeah, he's just not that type of guy. He's not that. There was some babies on the show though. You know what I mean? I guess we got 2 and a possible 3. Is that what it was?
Hands up, don't shoot. Ain't nothing over here. I know that.
When we were playing spades, it's impossible, you know? So, by the way, Adriana is a dope spades player.
Oh, well, they didn't show any of the spades game.
I would have came back broke. You know, if I put came back broke, man, asking for lunch. What changed between me and Joy? It was really just the situation that happened with the family. We were on a great, you know, ascend, and then that happened, and the priority didn't become for me, you know, dating and finding this relationship. Became so I need to support my friend. We're really friends in real life, and so you know that's what I know to do, which is show up, and that's why I left, and I wanted to support my friend, and you know whatever her family needed. So that was that. Any chance for you and Adriana? No, that is the homie. She is an absolutely amazing, beautiful,
yes.
Amazing. Like your hustle is secondary to none, right? Always working, always.
Yeah. Just like you, same.
Man, look, it's all we know that I do. That's how, that's your life, right?
Right.
Talk about Denise being Joy mouthpiece. I don't. Was she?
I feel like it was said what happened.
Yeah. Loved Adriana. I felt bad for her, and she deserved better at the end of it. You know, I don't think anybody did anything with malicious intent on the show. Other than a couple of comments that we talked about, you know, that was on this reunion, which I don't like to bring a bunch of negative stuff, but I don't think anybody intent. I think everybody had their, we came here to find love, and it's either going to happen or it's not. And sometimes it's just a part of the journey to get to where you need to be. Any final thoughts?
No, same. I agree. I think, you know, at the end of the day, whatever God's will is what's going to happen. And I feel like, you know, what's supposed to happen will, and everything played out the way it should have, you know. May not been ideal in my eyes, but who knows? We have this conversation, you know, a year from now, maybe a different.
I got one last question for you.
What's up?
You ready?
I don't know.
What is a human? No, I'm messing with you.
I'm a three-way in my dad. Okay.
Right. No, I do not want to. Your dad seems super cool. No, it's. Are you happy that the show is over, and why?
Oh yes. Sigh. I mean, at the end, like I said, it's definitely a blessing, and I'm so happy to have been in that situation and to go through this whole process and the whole journey, like making the friends that I made with the show. You know what I'm saying, and learning, like I said, myself and taking lessons. Like it's so many great things that came from it. I'm happy for it to be over in a sense because I'm on edge. Like if somebody would have showed me watching the show every week, like I'm literally on the edge of my couch, this close to the TV, like going crazy, you know, like what's gonna happen, what they gonna show, what they not gonna show. It's a whole thing. So my emotions are all over the place. Yeah. So I'm happy to just not have that scared part, you know, or worrying about what's gonna happen in my head. But like I said, overall, I don't regret the process. I am happy to breathe for a little bit. What about you?
Yeah, I am. There's a certain amount of, and I'll just be true to mine, is that there's a certain amount of anxiety that I would get on Fridays. And it was really around, you have no idea about what's to air. You know what you taped. You have no idea about what's to be aired. And so sometimes it's like, the episode's over, you're like, whew. Oh, okay.
All right, not this week. I'm good.
Right. Yo, and they built up. They you know, it was like one week I was like, oh, he's such a nice guy, and oh, he's a player.
Man, some people switch so quick.
Yeah, and so it's a dating show though, and you know, I have some feelings about how they aired that, but at the end of the day, we don't have editorial control, and I respect the producers for what their job is, and they need to make it, you know, salacious and do it.
It has to be for people to watch it.
It has to be. You got to have the little trailers that are going to make people come in. But, you know, at the end of the day, for me, you know, the fact is that, let's just be honest, we were all in each other's rooms.
Right.
Men and women. At the end of the night, at 1 o'clock in the morning, you know, you would walk through and it's like everybody's got their door latched, you know. We were all just hanging out because everything else was on camera and everything else was mic'd. So you couldn't have a real conversation without it knowing that it was going to be on TV. And so
that's why they put so people don't know, that's why they put the cameras whenever you see like the hallway view. They didn't have the cameras there at first. But because at nighttime, because that was the only time we could talk without cameras, then all of a sudden we woke up one morning, they had the cameras in the hallway. We was like, oh dang, they caught on. So now we gotta
Yeah, exactly. And so but just imagine people being there for, let's say, almost a month and not being able to have any conversations with the people that you're interacting with without a camera and being mic'd up.
Right.
You felt like it was a Truman Show, or felt like you were in a bubble, which we were in one situation, but you needed to have these real conversations without knowing that you're being recorded and all the above. So, we'll wrap. I appreciate you. I gotta go talk to your boo. I'm not saying your boo, but the boo you left with.
Okay, because I was like, I sure ain't got one. Who you talking to, Jesus? Right. Who you talking to? Because I ain't got a
Right. Now I got to
no, it's love.
Real quick. I wanted to wrap with him, but thank you so much for giving me your time. And you're always so transparent in real life. And the beauty is automatic, but people don't realize how deep of a person you are. You have this exterior of like light and bubbly, but we had some of the dopest conversations that were super deep, and that's just who you are as a person. And I feel like most people see the light and bubbly, the Houston Texans cheerleader, that part, and they don't realize the depth that you have. Because a lot of the show doesn't show the in-depth conversations. Like, we had the prayer breakfast that we had the one day, and me and Edwin both shedding tears and talking about fatherhood.
I wish they would have showed that. I wanted to see that, man.
That was the deepest moment of the show.
To see that. I feel like TV needed to show that, just because like we never get to see that side of it. You know what I'm saying?
Having time and actually communicating about real things that hurt their hearts. Absolutely.
Right. And the importance in just like the father figure and that relationship, like that's crazy. I was really excited to see that.
Yeah. Hopefully maybe they'll in the lost file somewhere that they'll put out.
Because they do that sometimes.
Absolutely. But
what I did want to say, speaking on just 2 seconds, I know we're about to get off, I'm sorry. But just for me, one thing too, is just like, for some people, not all, like with them showing me being so positive and smiling, like I feel like some people take that as, granted, they didn't get to, like you said, see the deep conversations and see, how I built the connections that I had. But at the end of the day, just because someone's smiling or they're laughing, it doesn't mean that they don't go through stuff or they haven't been through stuff in life. Even with you, like the same, and it's like, oh, well, we don't see his emotion. We don't get it. It's like, no, it's just like we go through those situations and we learn from them and we grow from them. And then we keep pushing and we keep going through it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to walk around with a sad face or be mean or, you know what I'm saying, or put your hurt on other people. You can still be a happy person and process the things that you go through. And to me, that shows true strength, to go through different things in life and still smile through all of it, Yeah,
absolutely, man. So thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for your openness. This is the first time we've been able to talk without be like.
I wasn't too open, right? I was cool.
Your vibe is always dope. You're always transparent, in our conversations, just as friends. And I always like to disclose if I'm talking to somebody that's a real friend of mine. So I get a chance to speak to who you truly are. I've known you a little bit prior to the show, but we've grown, brother and sister since you've since the show, and we become like we have our own weird little Ready to Love family, like
right,
included. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's dope. So much love. Have a great weekend. I'll see you at some point during the weekend, whatever case is. And
yes, I appreciate you so much. I'm happy we had the convo.
My dog. All right, talk to you later.
Bye.
Thanks y'all for watching.